everyone. I hope y'all are all doing good. I hope y'all are all staying safe and healthy. Today, I wanted to do this video and bring awareness about COVID-19. And I just wanted to share my experience and give glory to God because without Him, I wouldn't be here. I know many people think that this isn't as serious as it really is. Um, and some other people might think that it's just like the flu or a cold, and that it'll only last like 2 weeks and then leave and everything. I only know about like one family that actually had the virus and it only lasted them like 3 weeks. And the third week was just like recovery. But the majority of people that I like know about, the virus lasted longer than 2 weeks. And there's actually like a group on Facebook that's called like Long COVID, and it's like a support group, and it's like thousands of people who have had COVID, and they're like 3 months in, 6 months in, and they still have symptoms. And this is very real. And since this like virus is new, like we've never really had like a COVID-19, we've never had COVID-19 virus before. The doctors sometimes don't know really what to tell you, and it's it's a bit hard. Um, my experience with COVID, I started on July 6th. On July 6th, I was at home. I was here in my living room, and it was me and my mom. And the day before, we had gone outside and we had sprayed like weed killer on the weeds. And I had come back inside and I took a shower and everything. And then that was like July 5th. And then on July 6th, it was either July 5th or July 4th. But on July 6th, it was like a normal day, you know. My friends actually like, we did like a FaceTime, but like on house party on the app. And I was about to paint my nails because I really like painting my nails. And ironically, my friends were also like painting either their nails or somebody else's nails. Like, I think one of my friends was painting her mom's nails. And it was just like a normal day. We were just talking, and then like we hung up, and all of a sudden I started to like smell this ammonia smell and up my nose, like if it was coming from up my nose. But I didn't know at first where it was coming from. I was like, what does that smell like? It smells like ammonia. Like whenever you spray Windex and you smell that like ammonia in it, that's like what I was smelling. And I thought it was coming from outside or from our air conditioner, because our air conditioner, well, I was going to show you, but never mind. But I thought it was maybe because the air conditioner was on and it was bringing that smell inside. So I turned off the air conditioner and I was like, Mom, that smell is in here. And she was like, I don't smell anything. She was like, but if you want, you can turn it off. Maybe it is that, and maybe I'm just not smelling it. So I turned it off, and I kept on smelling it, and it was getting really annoying. And then I went into the bedroom, and I kept on smelling it, and I was like, what is this? I went to the bathroom. I kept on smelling it, and I was like, what is this? You know? And then I came to the conclusion that it was up in my nose that I was smelling it from. And I told my mom, and and then this, naturally I went on Google and I was like, why am I smelling ammonia on my nose? They said a lot of things like kidney problems, but none of those symptoms went with me. And my mom was like, no, you like, it's not that, you're too young to have that. Like, no, it's not that. So we quickly like threw that assumption out. The mom said, okay, if this continues for about 3 more days, I'm gonna take you to, to go see a doctor to see what's going on, because I was getting really worried, and it was hard to sleep at night with that smell up my nose, and I was getting a lot of headaches. Um, like, you don't like, I don't know, but I didn't like right away say like it's COVID-19. No, I was just like, I guess deep down maybe I did think it was, but I didn't like say it or anything. A few days went passing by, and I started to feel like my body was sick. Like, I didn't feel it like a train, like I didn't feel it like a bus or anything, like, but like it was subtle, and I did feel like my body was sick. Um, but I thought it was gonna go away, like I would feel nauseous. I would feel nauseous. I would feel like a little nauseous, a little loss of appetite, but then like maybe like the next day I was able to like make myself a sandwich and eat it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting better." And then all of a sudden I go like, "Oh, I'm getting better," and then it's like phew, and then I was having fevers. I remember by like the beginning of it, I lost so much weight. I've always been like a small person. Um, and I get it from my mom, I believe, because she was a very small person when she was younger too. And when she was about my age, she was like really small also, and she still is small, um but I mean, like, even though I was like skinny, I wasn't like really 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 skinny, like, you know like you're skinny but you're not like really skinny. I mean, I was like really skinny. I would look in a mirror and I was like shocked of how like thin I was. I was losing like a lot of weight. um the day I remember when it got really really bad, it was one day when, and this is where like I see um God's hand. The first time that I remember that I got really really sick, my mom was going to go to a workshop. My mom was going to go to a workshop, and usually the workshops last a few hours. They last a few hours. And I was at home. Mm, and I still feel like my body was sick, but I wasn't like really really sick yet. And I woke up and one of my eyeballs was like hurting. I believe it was this one. This one was hurting, and I felt a little sick, but like it was bearable. And my mom was texting me and she said, "How are you?" And I said, I'm fine. My eyeball just hurts, but I'm okay." She said, "Okay." When she came back from work, she got out from her workshop. She got out like super early. She got out really early. And usually it doesn't last. Usually it's not that soon whenever she comes back. Especially since all this coronavirus was going on, they were going to keep her in longer. And she thought that too, but they didn't. Um, she came back, but I think she was talking on the phone because she thought I was okay. I told her that I was okay, and I really thought it was bearable. It was fine. So she came back and she was like talking on the phone, and she went into the room, and I started to feel really bad. And I was like, maybe I need to go outside and get some fresh air. So I went outside on the porch to get some fresh air and some sunlight on my skin. And by the time that I got back, it was just horrible. Like, horrible. I felt terrible. I laid down on the couch, and out of nowhere, I just started to cry. Like, the tears were just falling down my face. And my mom was talking with my grandma because at the time my grandma was going through some surgeries, and she was talking with my grandma. And I didn't know that I was burning with fever. I didn't know I had a fever, which is, I know what a fever feels like. But at that moment, I didn't feel like I had a fever, but I just felt really sick. my mom got out of the room and she saw me there crying and she's like, "What's wrong?" And she touched me and she's like, "Oh my God, you have a fever." She didn't want to leave me alone because she thought something bad could have happened to me, but she said that she needed to go to the Dollar General and get me some Pedialytes because whenever you have a fever, you dehydrate. So she went. She came back really fast. She took me to the room and she put a bunch of like wet rags on me, a bunch of cold stuff on me. And I think at that time my mom knew that I had the virus. But she like neither of us would say like, "Oh, you have the virus," or "I have the virus." None of us would say that. But it was obvious by that time. My mom went and she got me like a tea with aspirins in them, which are blood thinners, because it causes COVID-19 causes you blood clots. So she brought me that, some aspirins, and from there on it was just like hot teas and like aspirins, and I'm so sure that that's what helped me not get pneumonia. And it was just a lot of hot teas and all of that, and things just started to get worse. um I had lost my appetite and I was very weak and fatigued. I would just lay in bed and my mom would bring me some food. I couldn't finish one little thing of jello, like those little jellos. I could not finish one of those. And I'm going to try to describe it how I felt. Um, for example, my mom would give me the little thing of jello and my body just did not want it, like my body was like, ew, like no, like to nothing, to no food. And I would grab my spoon, put it in my jello, and put it in my mouth. And it took me forever to chew that jello. Like my body was not wanting to swallow it, and it was just like chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing. Even a little piece of jello, it was like chewing and chewing and chewing because I just didn't want to swallow it. And later on, my mom would go through the same thing. And later on, my mom would go through the same thing of that. And I remember the only thing that really like settled in my stomach and I could actually like eat was some quesadillas that my mom made me, some like chicken quesadillas. That I actually ate that. But I mean, it was bad. I was also hit with like chronic fatigue. I mean, I couldn't even like raise up my hand. I couldn't even roll over with like my strength. To go to the bathroom, my mom had to like grab me by the arm and like lift me up. Before that happened, there was one night because I was drinking a lot of medicine. I remember I was drinking like NyQuil and all of this medicine. I think that medicine helped me, but also was making, I don't know, like the dizziness worse or something, because I was pretty dizzy. I remember one night I woke up and I went to the bathroom and I was so dizzy. Um, the whole room just seemed like it was like spinning, like moving. And I remember I missed the whole door to my bathroom and I like went into the wall. And then but I was so sleepy that I just wanted to go use the bathroom and get back to my bed. That was before like all the fatigue. And I went to use the bathroom and went to my bed and I slept. And when I woke up, was horrible. That day I thought I was going to die. Um, I woke up. My head felt horrible. Um, I woke up. I got up and I stayed on the couch and I was burning with fever. We didn't have a thermometer, which is bad, and I know, shame on us. But my mom didn't know that I was running a fever, and she got a lot of rags and put them on me. And my mom didn't want to leave me alone, so she called my brother to come get us some medicine, some things, and he did. He brought us some medicine. I couldn't move my head. I couldn't move my head. I can't explain to you how my head felt. It wasn't even a headache. It was just, my brain felt so weird. And, but not like a funny weird. It was like a horrible weird. Like, I just couldn't move my head. That day I threw up, but I only threw up like a little bit, like the medicine and like some, since I didn't have like food in my stomach. My brother bought me like a burrito, and I only took like 2 bites of that burrito, and for me, I thought that I did like the most. I thought I was so happy that I took those 2 bites out of that burrito. But I felt horrible. That day I really thought that I was going to die. I could not talk that day. I could not go to the bathroom by myself. My mom had to hold me by the waist and take me. I don't know. I couldn't even walk. I mean, the way that I'm 20 years old, but the way that I was walking, I felt like I was walking like if I was 180 years old. I mean, I couldn't walk. And whenever I went to the bathroom, I couldn't look around me. I couldn't look up. I had to be looking like down because my head and my eye, everything, all of this was just horrible. I couldn't look to the side. I couldn't move my head like this. I couldn't look up. It was just down. And I also remember that it was horrible because almost like every 15 minutes I had to get up and use the bathroom. It was terrible. But that day I really thought that I was just gonna die. It was a horrible feeling. I know this sounds a little dark, but it feels like your life is being sucked out of you. It feels horrible. I know that they say it's like the cold, it's like the flu. Yeah, some symptoms are like the cold and like the flu, like you'll get maybe a cough. Like at the beginning, before things got really, really, really bad, of that, like that day, before that day, a few days back, my symptoms started like that with the nose, headache, and my nose was dripping. Like it was like so hot outside. It was in July, and then my nose was dripping, and I'm like, what? But yeah, my nose was dripping, and then I started to feel like a little tingling in my throat, like I really wanted to cough. But my mom had heard that, you know, like some people like cough and then they can't stop coughing, and then they're like not choking, but like then they can't breathe because of the cough is so intense. So my mom would tell me, like, if it's not necessary, try not to cough, you know, like don't cough. And I was like, okay. And you know, at night, really wanting to cough, but you know, just holding it in. Once in a while, like I did talk and like a little cough would come out, but then I would just be like, no, you know, like I'll try not to cough. Then I was hit with like chronic fatigue. Every morning I would wake up, and every morning I woke up the same. My arm felt like jello. My whole body felt like jello. I could not raise up my arm. I could not twist in bed. My mom had to get me up by my arms for me to go to the bathroom. I remember some nights I remember some nights I would wake up randomly and just see my mom staring at me. She was like watching over me, and at night she wouldn't sleep. She would be on her phone trying to see what would help me. She was always there for me. She was always there for me. She The sad thing is that she never wore her mask. She never wore her mask. But she lasted all until July 13th. That's when she started to get sick. But it seemed like such a long time. Just a week that I was sick, it seems like such a long time. But she would always take care of me. I remember I was on the sofa and I felt like I wasn't breathing right, like if I was skipping breaths. I don't know how to explain that. Like if out of nowhere, like I wouldn't be breathing and I had to remind myself like to breathe. I felt like that when I was falling asleep, and I told my mom this, and she moved to the other couch and she put her hand on my stomach, and she was always so. She made me feel safe. And that everything was okay. Even when it wasn't. So then that day, my mom said, let's try to get you to the bed so that you can be more comfortable and I can be more comfortable and I can check on you. And I thought that was a great idea. So then she lifted me up, helped me all the way to the bed, and there I took a nap, and she put her hand over my stomach and was watching me while she was in her phone seeing what else she could do to help me. I remember my mom called a sister from church because her family had also gone through COVID, and it was bad too. It wasn't just 2 weeks. They say that, I guess the time frame that, it should be 2 weeks and you should be good to go. And I think maybe that's why most people are like okay with this virus, and they're like, oh, it's fine. It's just like the flu or just like this, but it's not. And it's a new virus. There had not been, now there's a lot of investigation going on, but there had not been that much information. There had not been that much information over this virus when it first came out. And still right now there's a lot of investigation going on, but that virus is not to be like taken for granted that only lasts 2 weeks. It's not worth it to be like, oh, it's just 2 weeks and not wear a mask. And it's not worth it. People are dying from it. People are saying, well, people die from the flu all the time, more people die from the flu than this. That's not good comforting words. It's not, because it's still horrible. And it has different things than the flu. The flu does not give you chronic fatigue. If it gives you like a little bit of fatigue, or you feel like you can get out of bed because you feel horrible, okay. But it's not chronic. I've had the flu, and a lot of people have had the flu, and it's not, maybe it's fatigue, you get fatigued or it's like this, but not chronic. And a lot of people think they're okay because they're young and they don't smoke, they don't drink alcohol, they don't have a underlying disease, and they're like, oh, then I should be fine. A lot of young people are being affected by COVID-19 that don't have any underlying disease, that don't drink, that don't smoke, and they are in hospitals. And I give thanks to God because I was only in the hospital just once. And it was to get checked on my lungs. And I give thanks to God because He took care of me through it all. And because if my mom had not gotten home that early, I don't know what I would have done. Because I didn't even know I was running a fever. I was just there on the sofa crying, and I don't know what would have happened to me if I would have ran 3 hours with that fever going like that. I know that God was with me. Sometimes when we go through hard situations in life, the answers sometimes doesn't all come in one package, if that makes any sense. But sometimes God just carries you through the storm. And I remember telling my mom, I've learned that all that you have to do is hold on to God. All you have to do is hold on to Him. Just hold on to Him. When hard things come to your lives, when hard, difficult things come at you, the answer is not to run away from God or to be mad at God, like, why did you permit this? Why? The thing to do is to hold on to God. And if you hold on to God, even though there's hard storms, even though there's hard circumstances, everything's going to be okay. And He's going to carry you through it. And that's what I learned. During that time, His word was my comfort. I remember I took so much comfort and so much peace that it brought me joy and happiness. I remember reading Jeremiah 29:11 and just owning that verse. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." And I would just smile on that verse. Another one was like Psalms 43:5, where it says, "Why are you cast down, O my soul? Why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise Him, my salvation and my God." Every morning I would wake up the same. It was always fatigue, and my mom had to get me out. I mean, it was horrible. I was just there in bed, just thrown there. And I remember one time I was gonna go see a doctor that my mom had contacted the sister from church we're very close with, and their family had gone through COVID-19, and her husband had also had like chronic fatigue, and she told us that they had gone and had gotten B12 injections, that the doctor gave him B12 injections, and that got him up. So my mom was like, okay, I don't want to see her like this anymore. I'm gonna take her. And my mom was investigating everywhere. My mom was like, if sister, I'm not gonna say her name, but if sister husband's doing so much better, I'm gonna see what they did. And she was just investigating and calling, and she said, I'm gonna take her because I can't see her like this anymore. So she took me, and I remember that day I was there, and I told myself from inside, I said, if I fall again, and what I meant by that was if in the morning I can't get up again and I feel fatigued, I said, if I feel like this, I told myself, and I said it with like such determination, I said, I'm gonna get up from this again. And then I told God, because I felt horrible. I told God, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to fight every day. But if it's your will for me to leave and go with you, then that's completely fine. I said, I know that you have plans for me, and I know you have promises for me. But if you want me to go with you, then I'll go with you. I'm ready. But I'm not going to give up. And what I was meaning by that was I wasn't going to give in to feeling hopeless or just giving up and staying there and being accustomed to that situation. That I was going to keep on fighting. And I remember that day we went and it started to get scary because then my mom, we were in the car waiting for them to call me, and then she said that she had like her bones were hurting, like her body was hurting, and she was coming up with a fever in the car, and I got so scared. At first that it was so surreal. It was like, is this really happening? Like I couldn't really process it. And she started acting not like herself, as in she started like kind of like, when you have a fever and you're like, and I got really scared. We went into the doctor's office and they wanted to give me, a nurse practitioner was attending me, and he wanted to, my mom said about the B12 injections, and then he said, yeah, you can buy them, and in a week come back and tell us how she feels. And my mom was like, no, like, give us the B12 injections, like I don't want to see her like this. So he got us the B12 injections, and that same day we went with the lady and she injected me. And that day my mom was just starting to feel really bad. She was running a fever. We came home, and something that I really want to give thanks to God, like this is there's somewhere in the Bible where it talks about Elijah and about how God wasn't in all these like strong winds, and he wasn't in these noisy things. He was in a small like breeze. The verse in the Bible that I love so much. Like I said, sometimes God didn't like, I wasn't like completely healed, but it was something that God was saying, I'm here, I'm taking care of you too. I got that B12 injection, and it was a matter of time for my mom. If I now think about it, it was just a matter of time because she wasn't wearing her mask. But God was carrying us through, both of us. Because then I had the B12 injection, and that B12 injection, I'm gonna try to put the link below of everything that it does. It's amazing. That B12 injection got me up. By the next day, I was up and I was eating about 3 bowls of soup. I remember that night was like a spiritual warfare. We came and we were driving up to the house, and I remember it was already kind of dark. And I remember looking at my house and just saying, and just looking at that bedroom where I had been with chronic fatigue, and just thinking how dark that room was. And the oppression in that room, because there was so much like sickness in that room. There was so much of me being sick. And we got home, and I remember getting like some olive oil, like the virgin olive oil that we used to pray. And I was gonna tell my mom that we needed to pray for that room, but then I was like, no. And I just grabbed the olive oil and I put it down. And it was like up in one of our cabinets, and I got it and I put it down on the table. Later, my mom was explaining how we needed to pray for the house and the room too. She felt it too. And she saw the olive oil there. She said, what is this doing here? And I told her that I felt it too. So we did, and that day was horrible. My mom started to feel nauseous, and she had loss of appetite. And I remember we were on the bed, and she said, we have to fight. We can't let this virus take control or anything like that. We have to fight, we have to eat, we have to push forward. And I felt so scared. I had loss of appetite too that night. Um, my mom prayed for me for all that loss of appetite to leave me. And every night we would say tomorrow is going to be a better day. Every night before going to sleep. And my mistake, the next day I wasn't eating. It was like the day after the next. Because the next day we woke up and it was the same. Oh, it was like loss of appetite. My mom was starting to get sick. But then the next day, that's when I got like 3 bowls of food and I could actually eat it, keep it down, and it was settled in my stomach. But then it was really affecting my mom. I remember we went to the hospital the first time and I saw God move again. We went and they weren't allowing anybody else but the patient. I went in and the guy that was taking temperatures and all of that, he talked to me and my mom and was like, "Who's the patient, you know?" And he knew that my mom understood English and talked English because I believe she talked to him in English and was like, you know, like, "I'm the patient, you know." And I started to cry because I was crying all the time. I mean, I was crying. My mom couldn't even like sign whenever she was checking in. It was really hard for her to sign, and she was like pale, and it was bad. Um, and then I started to cry, and I wasn't feeling 100%. I was still feeling sick, um, and I was gonna have to stay in the car for hours. And I was like, well, this is what it's gonna be. Then it's okay. I guess I'll just face it, or I'll see what I can do. And they were telling me that I wasn't gonna be able to stay, that I was gonna have to leave, and then the guy was like, I know that God moved his heart, and he said, "Ma'am, do you need a translator?" And my mom had already like spoken English and understood his English and everything, so he knew that she didn't need one. And she quickly like said yes, and brought me over, and I got to stay with her. And that man, God bless him, he went over to like another lady and was the lady like the receptionist, and was like, she's her translator, like she needs a translator and she's gonna stay with her and go in with her. And the lady was like, let me ask if that's okay. And I totally understand it, you know. But she went and asked if it was okay, and I said that it was fine. So I went back there with her and I got to help her. But that day I felt horrible. I was so close to running up to the doctors and that emergency room and asking one of them to plug me up. Like, I was not. I was debating whether to go or not, or stay or not. And my mom, she was admitted because she had really low blood pressure and she was feeling really sick. She was really feeling really sick and she had really low blood pressure. And I mean, her blood pressure was bad. Like, I think by the time that we got out of the hospital, it had only gone up like two numbers up. But she felt a lot better, so we got out. And I continued to get those B12 injections. I remember the brothers and sisters at church were a massive help. They were always calling me, checking up on me and my mom, and I'm so happy they were. And then it got a little bit worse. I remember I would pray and just ask God to please help us, and He did. And later on, we would see more of His hand move. Then we went again to the hospital. We went to the hospital about 4 times, or my mom went about 5 times. The last time that I was in the the last times, one of the times that I was in the hospital, like I remember we were in the hospital in the emergency room, and the reason that we had gone was because my mom had these, she doesn't call it dizziness, it wasn't dizziness, and I don't know if it, I guess it's like a type of vertigo. She described it as being in a box, and she's still, and someone just spinning that box. She, the whole room would just spin, and she said that it didn't just spin. She said that it spun really fast, and she was scared that I was gonna affect her or something bad was gonna happen to her. So we went to the emergency room, and there they discovered that she had pneumonia. But let me backtrack a little bit. When we were at the hospital for the first time, I could not eat very well. So my mom told me to call my aunt and tell her to please bring us. She's not really my aunt, but my mom and her have been like sisters, and she had always taken care of me since I was like real little. So I called her my aunt, and she told me to call her and bring me some petty sure, insured milks. And she also got me like a hamburger. I could not eat that hamburger. The only thing that I could drink were those petty shures. Those were like my only meals. Were the petty shures. Those were the only things that I could like look at and not feel completely like ew about, or like no. That day when we came home from the hospital, my mom said that we had to fight. We came home, we put some music on, some worship music, and every single time that I saw my mom get up and fight, I felt more encouraged. And I remember I had that hamburger, and my mom would tell me that I need to eat something and I needed to try. And I remember I grabbed that hamburger and I ate almost all of it. And it stayed in my stomach. And I was so happy. And my mom was eating too, but my mom was vomiting. And that first day that we went to the hospital was because we were gonna go get, I was gonna get tested to see if I still had it. And my mom was gonna go get tested to see if she had it. And that day, my mom felt horrible. She felt like she was gonna pass out. But she didn't tell me. Moms never tell you. But she could not walk anymore. I remember we were on the sofa. And she was getting those spinnings. And she never tells me these things, but she told me later on that she would hear me talking to her, but like if I was really far away, like if she was about to faint. And that's when the first time we went to the hospital. And she did not let me drive. I did not drive. She drove. And she was feeling nauseous. She threw up. But when they discovered the pneumonia, we saw God's hand move. If my mom had not gotten those vertigos or that spinning, she would have never gone to the hospital and she would have never known she had pneumonia. She would have never known she had pneumonia. And that's where we saw God's mercy, God's hand. We got home. My mom was throwing up almost everything she ate, which is very, very, very sad to see your mom that sick. And she told me, Lucero, I ordered some food. She told me, do you think you can go get it so we can eat, so we can have something to eat? And that's how we're going to be doing it. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be ordering food, and then if you can go get it, you get it, and then we'll eat it. I still did not feel good. I felt my head was like in a weird state. But I knew I had to. And my heart at that time was racing. like I had high palpitations. I would just get up to go to the bathroom and come back, and it's like my heart was saying, "What did you do?" And it was like da 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 da. So I sat down and I waited for the palpitations to stop. I got in my car and I went to go get the food, and it was a horrible, horrible experience. I went through the drive-through. It was a horrible experience. I was like dying, and she was like, "Take your time." I was like, "Oh no." I went back home. I got the food. I was on the couch, and I said, "God, I don't know if I can do this." I said, "Please send somebody to please bring us groceries because I don't think I can do this." And that when I meant groceries, I meant like maybe it's some like bread, or something that I could like maybe fix to give to my mom. But God surprised me. I think the next day, one of my youth teachers, she called me and she said, "So, like, how are you and everything?" And she said, "We're gonna start bringing y'all food. We're gonna take turns here at the church to bring y'all food." Um, and I thought, God answered my prayers. I was so happy. I was so relieved because my mom couldn't even be in the kitchen. It was horrible. She couldn't even walk to like the bathroom. She was exhausted when she walked to the bathroom. And they started bringing us food. Our pastress, she came and she injected me the B12. And she told me that I needed to recover and to rest. And my mom was in the room. I would go in there, give her food. She was just laying there. She had so many fevers. So many fevers. It got so bad one day to a point where she needed help from me to open up her pill bottles because she couldn't open them. Pneumonia. She couldn't open up her pill bottles, and I had to go open them for her. COVID-19 is not a game. It's not a virus that's playing with you. Another thing that I saw God moving through it all. He was working through it all. He was watching over us, and I felt it. I knew He was there. Another thing, one of my youth teacher called me and she said, "Sarah, we're gonna go over and pray for your whole house, and we're gonna bring our brother is gonna be playing the guitar, and we're gonna have some worship outside your house." And she said, "I know this is from God because I had like a vision, like my eyes were closed, and I had like a vision of us going to her house and praying for her house and having worship." And after that, the pastors called me, and she said, "I feel from God that we should go and pray for her house and have like worship." And I said, "What? Me too. Like God told me that too." And later on that day, the pastors called me and said, "Lisa, we're gonna go to your house and we're gonna pray for your house and we're gonna have worship." And I said, "Oh yeah, sister already told me." And she said, "Yes." And she also confirmed it again. She said, "Yes, I know this is from God because I called her saying that God had put in my heart to go pray." And then she told me that she had a vision, the same thing. So they came, they prayed for my house, they prayed for the whole house. My mom said that she didn't even know what was going on. She was just like out. They prayed for me, they prayed for my mom, and like something heavy was lifted up. And that day, I had felt a real tightness up in my ribs, around this part of my body. Felt like stiff and hard, and I felt like it was like this. And that day they came and prayed, and I had faith, and I felt like if something was released, and it was just like, whew, and it went back to like its normal state. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a single day that we didn't pray, me and my mom. Praying constantly. Hopefully I can do, I know this video is already pretty long, but there was a lot more that happened. Hopefully one of these days I can maybe get the whole story from like beginning and end of things that happened. But it's a lot. But I feel like it needs to be heard. It's a lot, but hopefully I can get that all out. And maybe if my mom testifies at church, I can maybe like record it and show you guys to how it was. I just give thanks to God that we're doing way much better. I'm so happy that my mom is doing much better. Oh, it's so good to have like your mom back, like your mom. Really hard process. I don't wish it on anybody. I mean, it was horrible. Oh my gosh. Just remembered that whenever I would get up to go to the bathroom, everything was like moving, like the walls, it was like moving. Like I was so dizzy, my vision was bad, my head was bad, and it looked like everything was like moving from side to side. Oh, and I remember whenever I would wake up early in the morning, I would see so blurry, like my vision was like dizzy, and it seemed like everything was like in triple form and it was like rising up. It was so weird, and I would cry. A frustration of when was this gonna be over. And my mom would tell me, it's okay, you're recovering, you're gonna get better. And she was also doing a little better. My mom had it the worst. The worst. But I'm so glad that God was with us through it all. I remember one time we were talking about God. We were at the table. And she told me, Lucer, problems come, just hold on to God. Just hold on to Him. Because in this world, there are going to be things that come into our lives. There's going to be trials. But just hold on to God. There's no other option. Just hold on to God. And it was like God would minister me through my mom's words. And I remember her telling me, other things. But I do give thanks to God for everything that He's done for us. And yesterday I marked 2 months of COVID. I am significantly better. I'm actually going to college. Before all of this, I read in an article that there was a young man who still was dealing with chronic fatigue. And I just want to say, if anybody is dealing with chronic fatigue, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but B12 vitamins helped me a lot. B12 injections helped me a lot. And if you want to talk to your doctor about it, you should. And I was so scared because I would read these articles about people saying that they couldn't get back to their life because of chronic fatigue. My mom even showed me about an article about a 20-year-old young man, who had to move in back with his parents because he couldn't do his laundry because of the chronic fatigue. And I was so worried about college, wondering if I was going to be able to or not, and just crying. But then I remembered and I said, no, I did not let that control me. And I said, and the reason that I had the courage and the strength to say no is because I knew that I had a powerful God. And I said no. I said, God, I am your daughter. And as your daughter, I can go to you and ask you for healing. I can ask you to intervene in my life. And now I'm going to college. There are still a few things that are lingering. I have this thing in my throat that I'm actually going to go get checked today. I'm having like some problems, like a little bit of like swallowing problems, and just my throat feeling. It's like almost like if I'm having like allergic reaction, but it's like always there. Like a sore throat still. So I'm gonna go and get that checked. And it's really sad because there are people who still have like very strong symptoms, and they go to their doctors, and their doctors don't really know what to do, and they just say it's anxiety and things like this. And some doctors don't believe them, but it's really real. I would say go on Facebook and check out long COVID support group, and it has like, there's a lot of them, but this is the one that I'm in. And just so that you can see how real this is, or I don't know, but it'd be, well, if you don't want to like go on there, if you don't have COVID or anything, then maybe I'll just show you. There are 20K members, and it is a private group. It's only for people who have had COVID or have COVID. And there is hundreds of posts per day. I think thousands of posts per day actually, of people who are still battling COVID, and it's been like 6 months. People who still have high heart rates. My mom was actually one of them who had like really high heart rates, but it has gone away, thank God. And mine have gone away too. Mine were like at the beginning of my recovery when it was just a lot of need, a lot of young people, elderly people, middle-aged people, healthy people, active people, fit people, people with underlying diseases, all types of people. And I know that long COVID has been ignored by some people, but it is very real, and I am so happy that it's getting the attention that it needs. Recently, there's been things in the news about it. There are thousands of people that have it. Please wear your mask. Do it for your brother, do it for your sister, do it for your mom, do it for the people that you love, do it for yourself. It's not a fun thing. Please take care of yourself. Please wear your mask correctly. Don't put it under your nose. It's a respiratory infection. It can go up your nose. Don't touch your mask whenever you have it on and you're out and you're touching things and you're touching your mask. I'm pretty sure that's how I got COVID-19. I had my mask on, right? And it was a little big on me, and I would always like pull it up and touch my mask, and I'm pretty sure that's how I got it. If you can, please don't take off your mask. You're at the store, you're at Walmart. You come back from Walmart and you rip that mask off, but your hands are still dirty. And you don't know if maybe you get a little itch and then you want to scratch yourself. I don't want to like have you like panicked or anything, but just take precautions. Please be wise. If you don't need to go to a college party, let's say, don't go. You don't need to go. You don't need to go. Especially if they're not going to be wearing, obviously they're not going to be wearing masks. Please don't go. The reason that I say that is because I've seen a lot of things on the news about college students going out to like the beach and stuff, and please take care of yourself. Please. Please, please, please. Please be wise. Please be wise. I know this isn't the way that we expected to go to college. I remember going to college and eating at the BSM with my friends and going to the sub and talking there, and but please just be safe. It's a horrible feeling. Please be safe. And thank you for watching this video. just want to say that COVID is real. I just saw like a post on Facebook about like a business who was saying that like COVID wasn't real, that it was fake. It is real. It is not playing. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of other people who are around you. And that is the end of this video. Again, I'm gonna try to see. I'm pretty sure I left off some things, and I really want to get like the whole story out there so you can just see how real this is. From beginning to end. And maybe I'm not sure that I will do that for you guys, but please stay safe. God bless you, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Yeah, thank you. Bye.